Welcome to Simplyrobotix, the podcast. The podcast explain the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique, and you can find me on all social media platforms at Simplyrobotix, Simplyrobotix. This episode is the beginning of something that I haven't done before on the podcast, and that is like a series review, like in actual real time. So I think most of the episodes I will be joined by someone, which will be revealed at the time of. If not, I don't really want to do this by myself, but if I have to, I will. And it's the Marvel What If series that's going on Disney Plus. So it's basically going to be like a spoiler filled, really short review per episode, just going on this journey. And I'm starting with my friend today. So let's just get into the episode, and I hope you enjoy it. For the first episode, I thought I would bring my good friend, no stranger to the show, no stranger to my social media interactions. Hopefully, you've seen me chat. Well, actually, she hasn't been on social media all that much, so you probably haven't seen me talking to her on Twitter and stuff like that. But she's if you guys tuned into a lot of the diverse tunes things, she's been a part of it and she's been very helpful with that. And that is my good friend Jaren. Thank you for joining me to talk
Thank you for
about.
having me.
Yes, I've been wanting to talk about superhero stuff for a long time. And yes, of course, there's like DC exists and they have so much animated content, which I'm getting to at some point in time.
I've heard DC has really good, like, when it comes to their animated content, they're in their bag.
Yeah, and that's like even before all this new stuff. Like if you just go back and think
Hmm.
of the
The
Batman
old
animated
Batmans,
series, yes,
yeah.
Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Justice League, all that stuff that we like came up with, it's still holding up because that's where I'm at watching, and I'm watching it for joy and for comfort. I'm not watching it for the podcast. That's why it hasn't made its way here yet. But when Marvel released a trailer for this What If series, I was like, great, this is a way for me to like talk and be a part of this stuff without
Hmm.
having to really go into the live action scene, because I'm very adamant about that line. Like I'm staying within the animation side of things. So I wanted to ask you, just based off of the trailer initially, what did you think this stuff was going to be about, or did you have like any expectations for it?
I was just excited to see them experiment. Marvel usually has like a very strict, like when it comes to their cinematic universe, they have a formula. It works. They stick to it. So this was really cool. When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, y'all finna mess around with some stuff and shuffle some stuff around and see what shakes. So I was really hyped when I saw the trailer, just to see some of the what ifs they were teasing was cool.
Nice. I in hindsight realized I didn't actually know what was going to happen with this thing. Like I had no idea. I think I saw the trailer and I was just excited
Hmm.
on the surface level that I was animated, but my mind was still so caught up in Loki that when I started watching the show, I was like, I actually don't know what this is about to be. I have absolutely no idea. So I'm gonna put it on you. How many times did you watch the episode?
I watched episode once.
Once, okay. Watched it like 1.5. So should we do spoilers and like get into the plot, or
I feel like at this point, if you're watching a review, you should expect spoilers.
okay, so heavy spoilers. So from what I can recall, and you jump in and chime in, the episode is like what if, and it's basically like Peggy Carter was Captain Carter because she's not American, so she can't be Captain America. But they didn't make her like Captain Britain, England,
Yeah, I just don't
Europe.
feel like that would have sat well with the people. Britain and their history.
Exactly.
I don't think that would have been a good PR look.
No, no, not at all. So basically, instead of Steve Rogers being Captain America, we have Petty Carter. And there's like this explosion happens, and instead of the whole money and research and stuff that goes into this super soldier serum thing being wasted, like she jumps in and she becomes a super soldier. And one of the first things you notice is like, it's such a New York word, but I was like, oh, she's like brolic. Like, she's just
Hmm.
tall.
But wait, you skipping ahead. We
Oh,
got to
okay.
go back
Okay, how
because
far?
we need to talk about how the show starts.
Okay, go. Oh, so like the intro.
The intro.
Okay,
So
yeah.
the intro was basically like you hear this deep, luxurious, velvety voice, and it's the amazing Jeffrey Wright who's voicing the Watcher,
Mm.
and he talks about how he's pretty much the observer. He doesn't intervene, he doesn't alter anything. He literally is just there to watch, observe, and record. And at some point, like you're in the galaxy, and then something shatters. It's like something glass like shatters. Within those shatters, you see like all of the Avengers. You see like T'Challa. I think you even see Shuri. You see their mom, and there's all these like different what if scenarios. And as that's happening, he's talking about how one decision can alter the state of
Mm.
the universe.
Yes.
So my question is, because they didn't really, I don't think they made this clear. I think they kind of left it open to interpretation. I wonder, is this an introduction into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or is this a result of what happened in Loki
Isn't all
when
that connected?
old girl killed um
King?
his fine self? Yes.
Yeah.
Woo! Sorry.
No, it's completely understandable.
But yeah, I wonder if that is the result, because at the end of, if you haven't seen Loki, spoiler alert, at the end when she kills Kang, that long stream of,
Oh,
I
yes.
guess, the perfect universe
Yeah.
starts breaking off into different branches. I wonder if what if is basically those different branches.
Oh,
Am
that
I
would be
making sense?
dope. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes a
Because you
bunch.
know how Marvel be like connecting stuff, and
Yes.
then they bring it back around and they flip
Yeah.
it, twist it, and reverse it. I feel like that's what they're doing right now.
With the what if, yeah, it's exploring all those different timelines for
Because
sure.
literally she just made one decision. So the show basically starts and it follows Captain America. I think it's the first Captain America. It basically follows the whole part where he first of all, they waste no time. They get right to it.
Right to it.
They're not sitting here building the story. You know the characters, you know their personalities. Let's get to the meat and bones of it. So it starts off the same way. When he gets ready to take the serum, and all the way up until the point where the doctor or the scientist asks her, does she want to like step behind the glass or distance herself away from the experiment that's about to happen. In the movie, she said yes, and she goes up the stairs and sits
Right.
on like a balcony or something. In this show, she says no, and she stays with everybody else. So she's like down in the pit with Stark and the scientists and everybody else.
Right.
And then that's when things go left from
Things
her making that one decision.
things go left. She seizes the opportunity to go and take the serum again so that they don't waste the money and all that stuff. And she becomes essentially the super soldier. And, she deals with sexism in that regards. And she goes, and I'm like compartmentalizing it, but like she and Steve Rogers ends up, it reminded me of the Iron Giant because he gets into this like mech suit and
Hmm.
he's here like
Yeah, he
fighting and
ends up. They find a way to weave him in, so Steve doesn't get any superpowers. He's still like scrawny Steve.
mm-hmm.
But what I really appreciated about the show is, even though he didn't get those powers, he's the only one that's not hating on Peggy. I
Thank
think
God.
him and Stark are the only two that aren't hating on Peggy. He still respects her. He still is like madly in love with her, and he finds his own way to still be a part of the fight without like compromising who he is.
Right, right, exactly. And they fast forward, there's that, what was the name of that guy with the red face, the red skull head
It's called
guy?
Red Skull,
Well, his name is Red Skull?
basically.
That's hilarious. So he's here. They're talking about Hydra, all that sort of stuff. They're talking about the Tazarac,
Hmm.
and they put the Tazarac in something, and it opens up a portal for some sort of, I forget the name that they called.
That's different too, because in the film they use the Tesseract to make weapons.
Right,
I don't think they actually opened a portal.
right. But this one, it was like harvesting like energy, right, so that they could open this
Hmm.
portal for like the chosen one of Hydra or something to come through, and we don't actually get to see in completeness and fullness, if you will, the character, but it seems to be like some sort of octopus type of thing.
Some giant squid.
Yeah, with a lot of teeth, because there was
I
what.
don't get what's up with superhero movies, because a lot of time the big creature is usually some type of squid.
Mm-hmm.
or some type of sea creature.
They do that a lot, and they
It's either like a giant starfish or a giant squid or a giant
yeah,
shark
and they
man.
do like the portal with like these flying human vampire things coming out of the sky. They do that a lot too,
Hmm.
right? I think like Justice League, Power Rangers, the reboot,
Avengers.
Ultron, there's like portal things flying out the portal.
Hmm.
So
It's a formula and they stick to it.
and I'm tired of it personally, but sure, do it, it works. So that's essentially like the plot. Peggy defeats, with the help of Steve and some other people that they save and break out of prison, um, defeats the creature thing, and she gets sucked into the Tazarac essentially. Then something kind of happens. I don't know if it's like a cutscene, and then she just pops back out, and she's like there in what you call it, the Shield ship. What would you say? Right? Because there's whoever Samuel Jackson plays now, I'm blanking on his
Nick
name.
Fury.
Right, Nick
She
Fury.
basically pops up in what would be considered our present day. So instead of, so like in the movie, I think when they found in the movie they found Captain America, he was frozen and they thawed him out and he woke up there.
Right.
She literally, it's like she literally cut through time and space and she literally walked out of her time and walked into like present day New York.
Yeah, it could have been like maybe they were trying to activate the Tazarac too, and she just like came out of it, and
Hmm.
she's like on this ship, and they're like, whoa, 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 like the war has ended X amount of years ago, and she's like, of course the war has ended, and then it kind of just stops, right? Like I feel like it's a pretty abrupt
But from
ending.
what I was reading, they say she's gonna be like the thing that weaves everything together. So we should get a glimpse of more of her, which I think is dope. We should get more of a glimpse of her through the other episodes.
Okay, so I guess that kind of makes
So
sense too, though. If they're really gonna show like the maybe like an alternate Avenger assembly, it would make sense to kind of have her continuing in the other
be the lead of
episodes.
it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I noticed. So I think when she comes out of the portal and it's Nick Fury and I think Hawkeye.
Yes, it's Hawkeye.
So usually Nick Fury's right hand woman, I guess you would say, is I can't remember her name, but she's always in Agents of Shield. But usually his right hand is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's an agent of Shield, so it was interesting to see Hawkeye. So I'm curious to see if he's no longer Hawkeye.
Oh,
And
okay.
then uh we didn't get a Bucky.
Yes, we did.
No.
He's in the show.
No, I'm saying Bucky didn't turn it. I mean, Bucky didn't turn it. We didn't get a Winter Soldier.
Oh, no, we didn't. Not yet, at least. Not yet, because they actually do make a comment about like how she almost ripped off his arm,
His arm, yeah.
and I was
So what
like,
I was saying
ooh.
is when, because they switched places, because usually at first it was when they did the train scene in the movie, it was Bucky that they thought died, and that's how he became the Winter Soldier. But it was Steve, and then because he was in the suit, he actually didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, are they gonna just do away with the Winter Soldier, or is somebody else gonna have a whole different Winter Soldier origin story?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Does Steve Rogers becoming Captain America impact Bucky becoming the Winter Soldier? Like, can he
Hmm.
still become the Winter Soldier anyway with a Captain Carter? We do not know. Um,
What if?
I want to talk just a little bit about the characters, if it makes sense. Like, what did you think about seeing Stark and Peggy and Steve and Bucky and even Nick Fury in this medium in this episode?
I think it was interesting to see that although they did make some drastic changes, they pretty much kept the core of who everyone is. Like Peggy was pretty much still the same Peggy that we all know and love from the Marvel universe. Same thing with Bucky. Same thing with Stark. Same thing with Steve Rogers. And I like they managed to pack a whole movie into 30 minutes.
Right? I thought the episode was gonna be longer, and at times it even felt longer. And I was like, "Dang, we just went through all of that in like
All
no
of that, like
time."
they knock it down. They were like, these are the bullet points, catch up or get left. And
Yeah.
they steamroll through and they cover pretty much everything. Like they cover the war, they cover Hydra, they cover Peggy and her training. Um How did you feel about the animation style?
That's great. Before we get into that, I want to say I
Okay.
like love Bucky, right? Like love him. And I was a little bit let down by his character in the show because I felt like I don't know if I felt like I was gonna like love an animated character, but
Hmm.
I was like, it's not giving me like enough Bucky Barnes. Like I don't know, maybe he just
I don't feel
translates.
like we got enough interactions with him and other characters. Like
Okay,
he was just there for like a lot of comic relief. Like he kept giving a lot of one-liners. Like
yeah,
at one point, there's this giant squid about to kill everybody, and he's just like, "Who ordered the calamari?" And I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know if I like this smart Alec Bucky, but in the movies, that's the kind of person he was before he became the Winter Soldier. He was very like smart, quick, had like quick remarks. Everybody had like there was a lot of like jibs and jabs because like when they told Stark like you need to join the fight, he was like, "Listen, I just pushed the buttons."
yes, yes.
He's like, "I'm not jumping in that machine. I push the buttons. I know my lane and I stay in it."
Exactly. So getting into the visual style, start with Bucky. That I just don't feel like he looked that much like the actor compared to everybody else's character,
Hmm.
which I think lent itself. So overall for the style, if you haven't, by the time this episode comes out, if you're interested in this series, you should have seen this. But it reminds me a bit of like the whole like video game genre style.
It felt very video, and I wonder if that's intentional.
I don't know. And then it also reminded me of the show Archer because it's
Oh
like they
yeah.
have these 3D elements that have 2D shaders on it. And me personally, I don't like that aesthetic. That's just a me thing.
I don't know. There's something about it that's jarring, but what I do say is I did like, so they have like the 3D effects, but you can tell there's 2D drawings, especially when it comes to the facial expressions.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really liked how they nailed, because there's like a lot of in the action, they still managed to nail a lot of the facial expressions. They have kind of like, I guess that Into the Spider Verse where you can tell like this is a 3D movie, but people went in and did
Right.
2D drawings on top of these 3D models. I got a little bit of that. It's not all throughout, but in the moments where it's important, it's there.
Right.
Um, I think this is them playing the long game, and eventually we're gonna get like VR video, like regular video games, but VR video games. And
Hmm.
I also think they went with this. Well, this is just me. I could be totally wrong, but I think they went with this style because this animated style gave them the room to be as close as they could to the cinematic universe, as far as like visually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think that this style also allows them um to have that like graphic comic book style because all the characters
Hmm.
essentially have like a black outline on
Hmm.
them, and it felt pretty much like comic booky. And I think they had to be kind of also really strategic. Like they could have created a visual animated style just for this show, but I think maybe that also would have made more people compare them to DC's animated stuff because DC
Hmm.
has a very
A very
distinct
distinct,
animated
yes.
style for their cartoons and whatnot. So to just completely like draw a harsh line, do something that's just really not that comparable.
I think it's just Marvel being smart too, because they're gonna be able to do graphic novels from this,
Mm-hmm.
comics. They're gonna be able to do posters. They're gonna be able to do toys, and the toys are gonna almost be life exact match to
I
what's in the show.
know. Yeah, and if
It's
they were to
they
make
see
this,
the
sorry.
picture and they plan for it.
Yeah, I think if they were to make this too cartoony, not even stylized, but too cartoony, that you wouldn't take the show as seriously either, you
Hmm.
know? So
And I think
this,
this is their way of avoiding it being flat, like you said. Like cartoony can get like DC has a very distinct style, but their animation style is flat.
yes. Yeah, but it also allows DC to have more mature content. Like they could go the spectrum with their stuff, you
Hmm.
know? And I think maybe Marvel could slightly pigeonhole themselves if they went something more maybe commercial,
Yeah,
than
because they
what they're
said they're
doing.
going to do more animated projects. So I wonder, is this going to be the style going forward for all of
I
their
hope not.
animated projects?
That's just me, but I hope not. I hope they explore different animation styles. This probably is gonna suit this story that they're
Hmm.
telling, this purpose of this project. But I personally would like them to explore other styles.
I think this style works for this show because I feel like this is going to tie directly into the cinematic universe.
Oh, absolutely. I think
I
so.
wouldn't be surprised if this is like a sneak peek into what we might get from the cinematic universe.
Yeah, it just has to be. They're doing so much connective like tissues work with all their shows and then the shows, connecting to the movies in a very, very intelligent way that it would be a shame if this show didn't somehow intertwine with that stuff, you know? Yeah.
But they're all about the long game, so I don't see them making this and then it not tying in with the franchise.
Yeah. So, did you have any highs and lows from that first episode?
Honestly, it was so fast paced. It was just kind of like, all right, let's just get through this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see my high pace is I'm curious to see what happens now that she's in present day. Like her being Captain Carter, how how does this create the domino effect throughout everything else?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I guess if I had to force a low moment, it would be maybe just how fast everything really was,
it was
actually.
so fast.
Yeah. Like,
And
even,
but I think what makes it so fast is that they squeeze like they squeeze 2 hours worth of content into 30 minutes.
which makes sense because most people that are watching this, you would hope, would have watched the movie already. So we don't need
Hmm.
to go through everything. But at one point, you're just like, we just went through everything.
Literally,
Ye-
like they went through the Captain America movie and they're like, cool, now here's where we divert. And that was
yeah.
like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I guess the low would be just kind of how abrupt it ends. So maybe this is, at least with the first an episode, people who binge the series may not feel it as much, you know?
Hmm.
But for us to have to wait another week, it's like, I actually want this to make a bit more sense, like now.
Because I'm also wondering, I'm like, is that just so like the next episode, are we going to get a completely different storyline and we're not going to see Peggy for like another 2, 3 episodes?
No, she, like you said, she probably has to be a part of the next episode in some capacity. And that actually leads
Hmm.
me to kind of winding down our little chat really quick. It's what do you think, which is so hard to even tell, but like the next episode could be? Or maybe what do you what are you looking forward to, if I could change it to the series then, based off of the first episode?
I'm torn. So I really want to see how um T'Challa is as Star-Lord.
Mm.
And then I also want to figure out this zombie spin because I keep seeing like clips and snippets of Captain America as a zombie.
Oh,
So I'm like, how did that even come into play?
yeah.
And then I'm curious to see how the lineup rolls out. Um it's like there's so much in the air. It's like I can't even like land on what I want to see.
I feel you. I feel you. I want to see if Bucky becomes Winter Soldier,
Hmm.
and I'm very curious. Yeah, if and how, what the differences will be like, because we're in an alternate universe where one decision, creates a different timeline and stuff like that. So if the Avengers really still do become the Avengers, and what their alternates or variants, right, will be. I'm very invested in that, and how this could, and if this will connect to the Doctor Strange and the Spider-Man movies. I think it would be interesting if they were to have some sort of hints to the shows, but I think that could be asking for a lot.
It's definitely a lot. I don't I they in a bag right now. I gotta give it to them because I can't even tell you what's coming next.
No, there's no way. This absolutely, like, who's gonna be the next
It's
person?
literally the multiverse of madness. Anything goes.
Yeah, because, like, okay, so let's just say Peggy now is with Nick Fury and Hawkeye, and do they go to, like, get the next Avenger, and because that Avenger makes, like, or someone makes some sort of decision, it flips how the Avenger becomes a part of the team.
Because in the cinematic universe, they started with Tony Stark. So I'm wondering if they're gonna flip it because they basically started on Earth. So I wonder if they're gonna flip it and start in the galaxy, and we're either gonna get like Thor or T'Challa as Star Lord, or just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kevin Feige. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
stressed.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, and we'll keep going through the show, and
I will say another high point. I just thought about it. I really do appreciate that they didn't make Peggy do the whole like the way they did Captain America, and he had to go and perform and do all of the buy the bail bonds, and I'm so glad they didn't do that to her, because I feel like that could have went so, it would have just been inappropriate
And
to
it's
have
not
her do all of
necessary.
that.
It's absolutely not
Yeah, I think it would have
necessary.
been unnecessary, and I'm glad they were just like, nope.
And they even made like a joke about that too. When Stark
Hmm.
was giving her her costume. And I thought,
He's
wait, what are you thinking?
I, I'm glad they made that call not to do that. I think they also were just like, that's something unnecessary. Like, you already knew who Peggy is. You know she's not with that. Um, I didn't like old dude that just kept telling her like, "You lucky to be in the room."
Yes.
Like, before I would have been Captain Carter, I would have karate chopped you in the throat. Talking to me like that. Who you talking to?
Well, she let him know. She definitely, by the end of the episode, she told him about himself. She was like, "Well, you're lucky you're in the room."
Right, and then he on the phone with the president talking about, yeah, I told her to put on the suit, and I told her to wear the shield, and I told him to build the what do they call it, the
I don't know what they call that thing.
not the Nazi stomper, the Hydra stomper. Is that what they
Hydra
called him?
Stomper. I think something like that.
And it was like, he was a hater from day one.
Day one. Yeah. Well, um, that's it. That's the episode. I just wanted to have someone to chat and talk about this with. I think it went a lot better than if I was to sit here by myself and do it. So I thank you so much, Jaren. Can you just tell the people that may want to check out your stuff on social media how they can reach and find you?
Yes, I am at Jaren Merchant on all social media platforms. JAARON, and then merchant like a sales merchant. Um, I haven't been as active on social media as I should be, but that's because I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
And that's completely
Um,
fine. But
NDAs ain't no joke,
Jaren is lurking,
and I'm
so
drowning in them. Yep.
she's there. She's just looking at stuff, liking stuff here and there.
And
But
you hit me up, I'll say hey, and then I'll disappear into the atmosphere.
yeah, but thank you so much. And for those of you that are watching and or listening, please tweet, comment your thoughts, all that sort of stuff, and let's get the dialogue going. The show's hashtag is Simplyrobotixpod. Use it, and I'll be able to find what you're saying, and we can engage in conversation. So until next time, see ya.